Cast away, no more space to land. I'm stranded like a wage, pull me further down. You can only fight the undertow for so long. In the end, you either let him go or you drown. And now I can breathe again. Cast you off and come back up for air in a sea of tears. And now I can breathe again. From the depths I rise above despair, and I'll take a breath, and it goes.
JD here, Tourliness, and as you can see, the AOR here today, and this is that Career, which is, I have to say, probably my favourite track on the game in the F1 series I've ever played. This track, in terms of my race pace, is definitely, I'd say, is my strongest out of any game. And this is my final sector, my first run here, which is actually 19.4 last sector, which is actually the fastest last sector that there's ever been in a qualifying lap round here. So this is almost a free last sector, so just give me an idea of me at my best pretty much in this last sector. And this was quite a poor lap, sectors 1 and 2. I think I got a 35.0 for my first sector, which was really bad, and it actually ended up being a 36.0, so I knew there was a lot of room to improve on our lap. And now this is the out lap of my fastest lap in qualifying. So yeah, this track is definitely my favourite of mine, my strongest in terms of pace, as I said. Not necessarily normally qualifying before, because I normally just always tend to focus on the race, probably 99 or 95% on the race, and do a few quali sessions just to get warmed up before the race, but most of the time it's just all race pace, because at the end of the day, that's where you do get the points. So this lap, I felt I had nothing to lose, and Martin on pole position was a 35.6, which is a very good time. My PB actually around here is actually only an 8, which I did in season 7, so not massively quick. I know there's a few people who can definitely beat that lap, and in practice I managed to get a few 8s quite consistently throughout the practice, which was a good sign, because I didn't really feel I did that much quali practice for this. So I knew there was definitely plenty more in the tank. I'm just changing my setup quite a bit this season from what I had from previous seasons, and it definitely seems to work quite well for me. And that's why I feel in a race where I have clear air, nothing crazy happens to me or anything. And I usually do believe that if I do race at my best, then I can win the race. And I'm sorry if that sounds arrogant or cocky or anything, but if anyone who does leagues or does anything kind of competitive, then that's the mindset you really do need to have going into a race and during a race, that you believe you can win the race. And I always believe that I can win the race if everything goes my way, and if I drive my best, then I don't doubt myself that I can win. But this lap so far was a really nice lap. It felt really nice. You could see we're 4 tenths up on a 36.0, and I wasn't actually looking at that at that point. I didn't even take any notice of how much I was up. I was purely focused on completing the lap as best I could. As you can see in that last little sector there, could have gone a little bit tighter there, so that's why we lost a little bit of time compared to our previous best sector 3. And we've done a 36.6 and just ahead of Martin, which is crucial for this championship. This is what we need so badly at the moment, because I feel personally throughout the season, after being taken out in the first race of season 1, after being in the lead, which probably cost me any chance of the win there, and just having a disconnection, not disconnection, but a game freeze in Hungary. The other mistakes are really down to me in other races, but those two things primarily have cost me quite a bit, and it can shift the momentum quite a bit in a championship. And if I won that first race, then things could have been different now, but you know, that's how it is. We're on pole position, so we've got a good start at Korea here as Matty G and Fizzy retire, and Martin's come down the inside of us, so we've got to leave room on the inside, as much room as possible. We managed to get the switch back on him, and we managed to hold it into lead. And at this point, I was desperate to stay ahead because I wanted Martin to be forced into my strategy. I didn't want him to force me into his strategy, because I knew what I wanted to do before the race, and I felt very confident in the race pace. The race pace here has been really since Spain, I'd say, since I've made just how I've changed my driving in terms mainly down to the gears and how I get on the throttle, and also the setup as well. I've gone quite a different approach with my setup I have over the past racing since Spain, and they've worked out in my favour. My race pace has been probably the strongest it's ever been, and I feel in the race it's been amongst the strongest, if not the strongest, in race pace. Just a few unlucky things that have happened, but right now I was so desperate to just keep ahead because I wanted Martin, as I said, to be dictated by how I do the race. I wanted him to do what I do, because I feel on a level playing field, on my terms, on a one-on-one, I feel I can do it. I feel I have the upper hand, and that's honestly what I believe. So as you can see here, it's a really good racing. I was really enjoying this at this point in the race. It was a lot of fun, as Martin now gives up the position. So we managed to hold into the lead, and we've actually pulled away from the guys behind us as well, despite going side by side. So we've got a nice little gap as well, which is good, which will give us room to actually fight out. But you can see, come on to lap 5 here now. You know, we're not defending. We've saved a bit of fuel. We haven't really gone to rich at all. Just saving the fuel for the end of the race. So we're going to save our curve to come off this corner and try and get a really good traction off this and get in the slipstream. And we're going to go into lean mix. So we're going to save fuel and try and go down the inside. So just do a little bit down the inside. But Martin's using slightly high brakes. I think he uses high standard. We use high small. But we're going to try and hold it around the outside, which is a really popular place for overtakers. We're going to go as tight as possible. And we've just been spun round. We've just been clipped at the rear. And that is a disaster. That is the last thing that we needed, and I have to admit, because I'm honest, I was really annoyed. I was really angry because I felt that wasn't my fault, and you know that I was tight as possible on the inside, and you know I was clipped on the rear, and I admit I was really annoyed, and that's cost us 5 positions and quite a few seconds, and a chance of win at that point looked completely out of the question. But if you haven't known, on my Twitter rant after the race, because I was really annoyed, but I really do hope this shows that by you watching the rest of this race, of me not giving up and showing you what is possible if you really don't give up. And I know I say I give up quite a lot after the race when I'm not racing, but in the race I never ever give up. I've never given up in a race, and that's just something that I couldn't do. As you could see, Martin has actually let us past after 3 or so laps after the incident, and I just want to say I really do respect his sportsmanship for letting me past, and I really do appreciate that, because we've been, as we say, a little bit of a thank you to each other there. People on the stream didn't really know what that was, but that's just me saying thank you for him let me pass. But we've been racing together for years. I'm really good friends with him. I've met him in real life. We're real friends. And I really do appreciate what he did there. It really does mean a lot. But I was annoyed because I felt, that is a racing incident. That's the game. The side pole glitch. There's nothing you can do there. I felt I left the room. I couldn't have gone any more tires more than I did, and I got punished for it. And I was just annoyed because I felt I didn't have to be re-overtaking cars towards the end of the race, because I wanted to race out in front, which I worked really hard to get myself in the position with that pole position. I'm working really hard to get that lap in, and then that happens. Just frustrating. But other things that have happened to me throughout AOR in the season, it kind of just escalated, and I apologise if it did seem I was being really ranty. I really do apologise for that. It's just when you're so competitive and you're so desperate to do well and win, and you believe you deserve that you should win, and then something like that happens to you, which is, in my opinion, not my fault, and it's not anyone's fault. It's not Martin's fault. It's the game's fault. It's just so frustrating, and it just really got the better of me on that occasion. But you can see, we're not really being soft on each other. We're being side by side quite a bit throughout this race, because as you could tell, at this point I was still quite angry. I was really angry, and because I knew the potential that I had in this race in terms of the race pace. If we were out in front, I felt if it was in that situation where other cars wouldn't be holding us up or anything, then I felt I had the upper hand, and particularly how I built my strategy, really mainly down to traction. The tyre life at the end of the stint would have been good, and you'll be able to see at the end of this race, I've left in the last 3 laps of this race, which you'll be able to see, which really does show the raw pace of what I had right here. But you can see we now let Martin pass now. I'm not going to risk or anything, because we want to catch the cars in front. I want to catch the cars in front to potentially put a car between me and Martin, because I want to win this championship. I want to win as much as possible. So we're going to let him pass him. We're going to go straight back past him. And because I don't want him to dictate my race, I want to be in control as we go into neutral there and back into first again. So that could have been a really, really not good moment there. We could have actually spun the car there, but you can see we're still keeping front, trying to hold it on that apex, leave room on the outside. Martin goes a bit on the curb, and we still stay in front. So I want to decide this race. I really want to control this race, because I don't want him potentially pushing me backwards, purposely, maybe not even catching the cars in front, which is absolutely fine. You can do that, but I don't want them run the risk of that happening. So I want to charge and get out in front and catch the cars in front as we go into the pits now. The end of lap 12, moving on to lap 13. We're going to go on another set of options. If you didn't realise by now, it's an option prime strategy, which is what I did in season 7 around here. So we're going to go on the options again, and hopefully we won't be passed by Martin. And luckily we don't. The Marusha seems to be quite lucky in the pits this season for me. And we're going to come out in front of Martin now, but he's going to have DRS now, so he's going to have the DRS line directly now, so he should easily be able to get past us. And we're not really going to fight this too hard. There's not really much we can do because the straight is so long, and now he's in front, so we're going to save some curves, try and get a wide line, try and get the up throttle as early as possible. But you can see he's got pretty good traction in that car as well. So no, we're not going to use our curves, because we have got cars in front of us. And if he gets past one of those cars at the right time, and that's not good news for us. And to be honest, if you saw my argument, which I did after the race, and the reason why I was annoyed, as I said before, it's no one's fault at all. I'm not blaming Martin or anything like that. But I felt, if that incident didn't happen, then I wouldn't have had to overtake these cars again, which is holding me up. And I also made the argument Martin not let me pass straight away, and that's forgotten now, because I've actually closed down the thread, because it's just not worth it. As much as I'm so competitive in this game, it's not worth getting into those kind of battles or anything, and that's not really something for me. I don't want to ruin a potential, like a friendship pretty much over the game. And as you can see, we're getting held up now behind Fox Cyber, so Martin got past him at the right time of the race, and we're just getting held up here. You can see how much time we're losing in the dirty air as well. Martin's got now even a bit of a gap in front. As you can see in the minimap, we were losing a lot of time, and now Fox has now gone into the pits. This is my argument really, because if I felt I got that pass straight away, who's to say that I couldn't have been the one behind Martin going into the pits, and I couldn't have been the one overtaking him out of the pits, and I could have got through in that car. You know, I could have been where he was in that position in the race where he is now. You know, there's cars between us. You know, he managed to get past me at the right time, and you know, if we were battling, and then if he was head going into the pits, you know, now I could have been the one that benefited in that situation, and that was my argument, and that's all it is, and that's all I am going saying it really, because as far as I'm concerned, that's in the past, and I just want to focus on the rest of the races this season and put that behind us. And as I said at the start of this video, I really hope this just shows you of what you can do when, you know, something like that happens in lap 5 or you know, even at the start of the race, just to never give up. And that's something I never do. I always go balls to the wall pretty much in every single race. You know, that's just how I am as a competitive person. I'm in the racing games. I'm not a casual player. I'm someone who gives it the all as much as possible. And you can see now, since we got held up behind these cars because they were on older tyres, and Martin managed to get through at the right time with the expense of DRS and us, and we couldn't get through because there was just no chance of us getting through because of the positioning, and we've lost about 2 seconds or something because of that. And that's another reason why I did kind of go off into it. Unleash it actually goes back down the inside, and now we've clipped his rear wheel, and that is just... And Unleash has let us back past, which I don't think he really needed to do there. Thank you for that, but yeah, I don't think he really needed to do that, because you could have overtaken me. There's nothing to say you can't re-overtake me, but that has definitely cost us quite a bit of time as well. And you know, we've lost quite a lot of time to Martin now, and now we're coming up behind Jason, and my teammate, who's not going to make things too easy for us, but again, he's absolutely fine. He can do whatever he likes. You know, doesn't have to just let me pass, because I probably wouldn't have do the same if I was in that position as well. But we're going to go around the outside of him. He's not making it too difficult for us. We haven't lost that much time, but we managed to get ahead of our teammate, and then back on behind Martin, but he's another couple seconds or so up the road. So we've lost a lot of time just through getting through cars and catching cars at the wrong part of the lap, and just due to the positioning. And that was just making me just ever more frustrated. But you can see Leobot's in the pits now. You know, it's just stuff like that happens, and you just got to take it as it comes. And all you can do now is just do the absolute best you can towards the end of the race. So Leobot has actually appeared, and Martin and Brozek are now going in the pits, and we're going to continue, because at this point, if I went into the pits there 2 or 3 seconds behind, it would have been very, very difficult to catch up on the same tyres. Even though I believe I could have done it, it would have been very, very difficult. So we're going to go on an extra lap, because the primes are really, really slow around here. So the undercut is not actually going to be that big. And as you can see, coming out of the pits now, they're not actually that far ahead of us, and Martin's now into the lead. So you can see he's got quite a big lead in us. We're going to go into Rich and try and catch up the cars behind. And just as I was going to say before, I was also just quite annoyed after the race, because people felt I was being a bit of a, I don't know, a baby about it or anything, because I just got outpaced. And being honest, I don't feel I got outpaced. I just felt I got unlucky with the positioning, and you'll be able to see with the pace I had at the end of this race, you know, if that incident hadn't happened, or you know, if I managed to get through the cars when Martin didn't, then you know, I could have been in that position. And that's the reason why I was annoyed, because I felt, you know, if I get outpaced, so if someone just drives better or anything like that, then I'm more than willing to say an absolutely great race, you know, you just got outpaced. But when something like this happens, where it's not really anyone's fault, it's out of your control, I know you've done everything right before then, and then something like that happens, then you know, it's so frustrating, because you know, I believed I felt I could have won the race. I could have controlled the race and won it, and you know, it just didn't happen. And right now I'm gonna have to make up for it throughout his position. So you can see we're trying to get past Leobot, but he hangs it around the outside. Just that corner just seems to be a really awkward corner to overtake people. But skipping on to lap 25, this should be quite a simple pass now, getting past Leobot. But yeah, that's why that's just added fuel to the fire, really. Because if that was the case and I just got completely outpaced, and you know, I would hold my hands up. But me being honest, I don't feel I was outpaced. I felt I was just genuinely actually unlucky in this race. But that's up for you to decide. I've already made my decision, but that's just opinions for you. But you can see lap 26 now behind Brozak, so we've got a lap fresher tyres than him, and our pace at this point has been, I'm driving qualifying laps at this point. It's probably the best driving I've ever done towards or actually in a race in terms of just the laps I'm doing. And I believe now from here to the end of the race, we actually stay on board of me to the end of the race. So you'll be able to see my driving, and the gap is currently 3.6 seconds if I'm reading that correctly on my screen. And you can see towards the end of the lap, we've only got a lap fresher tyres, and you know the prime's gone for quite a few laps. So we put it on like lap 19 or something. You know, they can go on for like 12 or 13 laps, so they don't really degrade too often. So the difference in speed shouldn't really be that great. But as I said before, my setup is really built for towards the end of the stint, and combined with the pace and confidence I had around here, this is really a true reflection of what I could do around here. So I'm not really going to talk to the end of this video now. I'm just going to let you watch the end of these laps. And as I said before, I apologise for my rants outside of the game or in real life. If anyone's met me in real life, I'm pretty sure they could say that I'm a very, very relaxed person. I feel I'm a nice guy. I'm just really chilled out, laid back. But when you get in the race and when you get in the moment of the race, you want to win so bad. You know, so competitive. And when you feel you deserve to get a win and it's taken away from you, you know, things happen that you can't really control and it's not your fault, then obviously you go be angry. But you know, as always, I hope this video has shown you what you can do when you just don't give up in a race and give it everything you got. You know, you can still get good results when that happens. And hopefully this inspires people if they're in the same situation. My advice would be to not go on Twitter after the race or react or anything. Just keep it to yourself and just let your driving do the talking. And that's really what I hope I've shown in this video here today. So as always, thank you for the support, and I'll catch you next time. The race will be in Suzuka. And if you're also wondering why I didn't include the full Singapore highlights, you can see at the start of the video, to be honest, not really much actually happened in the race. So I just wanted to give you just a brief highlights of the race. That was another very good race for me. So yeah, Suzuka next time, which should be on today on the live stream from Matty or FizzyFan91. As always, thank you for the support, and catch you next time. Cheers.
You have a 2-second gap to the car behind. We need to keep it clean so he doesn't get a chance to overtake.
I think I'm in need
You're lapping around a
of a
second
quiet
faster than the car
walk
ahead. Keep this up.
home. And as we step forward,